I've never been one to believe in supernatural stuff or haunted places, but there's something that happened to me a few years back that still sends shivers down my spine. It all started when I stumbled upon an old, rundown circus on the outskirts of town. It was called the Grinning Circus, and from the moment I set foot inside, I could feel an eerie atmosphere that made my skin crawl. The paint on the tents was peeling, and the once vibrant colors had faded into a sickly mix. Despite the unsettling appearance, I couldn't resist the allure of the abandoned big top. As I cautiously stepped into the main tent, a wave of cold air hit me. The place seemed frozen in time, with faded posters of smiling clowns plastered on the walls. The silence was so thick you could cut it with a knife. That's when I noticed a flickering light in the distance, as if a spotlight were trying to push through the darkness. I followed the light, and to my surprise, I found a small, dimly lit room. In the center stood a dusty, forgotten circus ring, with a lone spotlight hanging above it. What caught my eye though was a tattered clown costume lying on a chair nearby. It had a peculiar grin stitched onto its face, one that seemed to follow me no matter where I stood. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to put on the clown suit. As soon as I did, I felt a strange presence envelope me, like an invisible force taking control. The dim room suddenly transformed into a vibrant circus, with a spotlight shining on me, casting a shadow that seemed much darker and more menacing than my own. The once empty seats were now filled with ghostly apparitions, their eyes fixed on me. I started to perform, unable to resist the strange compulsion that had taken over me. Laughter echoed through the tent, but it wasn't the joyful kind you'd expect in a circus. It was a sinister, mocking laughter that sent shivers down my spine. As I continued to dance and perform, the atmosphere became more oppressive. The ghostly audience's laughter grew louder, and I could feel their eyes piercing into my soul. I tried to tear off the clown costume, but it clung to me like a second skin. It was as if I was trapped in a nightmare, a circus of the damned. Suddenly, the spotlight flickered, and the ghostly audience disappeared. The laughter turned into a haunting silence. I stumbled out of the room, the clown costume now hanging limply from my hand. The entire circus seemed to sigh with relief as I stepped out into the cold night. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that the Grinning Circus still exists in some twisted dimension, waiting for its next unsuspecting victim. I've always been afraid of clowns. There's something about their painted faces and over-the-top costumes that just creeps me out. But I never thought I'd have a real-life encounter with a clown that would leave me traumatized. I was 10 years old when it happened. I was walking home from school one day when I saw a clown standing in the shadows of an alleyway. He was wearing a traditional clown costume with a red nose and a big baggy pants. But there was something about him that was unsettling. His eyes were black and empty. His smile was too wide and too fake. I tried to ignore him and keep walking, but he stepped out into the light and blocked my path. "Hello, little one," he said in a deep, raspy voice. "What's your name?" I didn't answer. I just stared at him, frozen with fear. "Don't be afraid," he said. "I'm just a friendly clown. I'm here to make you laugh." He reached out and tried to touch my arm, but I flinched away. "Don't want to play?" he asked. His smile faded and his eyes narrowed. "That's not very nice. He took a step closer, and I backed away until I hit the wall.
I'm going to tell you a secret,
he whispered.
Clowns are not always what they seem.
He reached into his pocket and pulled out a long, sharp knife. I screamed and ran, but he was faster. He grabbed my arm and spun me around.
You're not going anywhere,
he said. He raised the knife, and I closed my eyes, waiting for the end. But it never came. I opened my eyes and saw that the clown was gone. I was standing alone in the alleyway, my heart pounding in my chest. I never saw the clown again, but I'll never forget him. He taught me a valuable lesson. Clowns are not always what they seem. You won't believe what happened to me a while back. I stumbled upon an old, forgotten carnival that seemed to have vanished from the pages of time. This place, known as Whispering Carnival, wasn't in any records, and it felt like it was stuck in a perpetual twilight zone. I had heard rumors about it, whispers among locals about a carnival that only appeared to those who needed something desperately. Skeptical but intrigued, I found myself driving down an overgrown path one gloomy evening until I reached a clearing where the Whispering Carnival stood, seemingly untouched by the passage of time. The air was thick with an unsettling stillness as I cautiously entered the deserted fairground. Dilapidated rides creaked in the wind, and faded banners flapped eerily overhead. The place looked like it had been abandoned for decades, yet there was a peculiar allure that drew me deeper into the heart of the carnival. As I wandered through the desolate attractions, I noticed a dimly lit tent at the far end. It seemed out of place, as if it held the secrets of the carnival's mysterious existence. Hesitant but driven by an inexplicable force, I pulled back the tent flap and entered. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy with a scent of nostalgia and a hint of something else, something unnatural. Rows of antique mirrors lined the walls, reflecting distorted versions of myself. At the center of the tent stood a small, weathered booth with a sign that read, Whispering Wishes. I approached the booth, and that's when I saw it. A tattered clown doll sitting on the counter. Its eyes seemed to follow me, and its stitched smile gave off an unsettling vibe. A whisper echoed through the tent, almost too soft to hear. It was as if the very air was trying to tell me something, urging me to make a wish. Against my better judgment, I made a wish, something personal and deeply buried within my heart. The moment I uttered those words, the atmosphere changed. The air grew colder, and a distant laughter echoed through the tent. The clown doll's grin seemed to widen, and its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. I stumbled out of the tent, shaken by the experience. As I walked away from the Whispering Carnival, I felt a strange weight lifted from my shoulders. It was as if the carnival had taken something from me, fulfilling my wish in the most unsettling way possible. In the days that followed, I couldn't shake the feeling that the carnival was still out there, waiting for the next desperate soul to stumble upon its mysterious realm.